Oh, you thought this person was with you because they loved you. Sometimes that person ain't with you because they love you. Sometimes they are with you because they are placeholding, waiting to find your replacement and wait for the person that's actually supposed to be in their life.
If you think that just because that man has been with you for years means you are his dream girl, then you are wrong. You may just be a placeholder until he finds his missus. I have a lot to say on this topic, but first, let's watch this video.
Well, this is about my cousin. Now, she's a medical doctor and so is her husband. But when they both met, they didn't live in London and they lived outside London in a small village community. Now, when she saw him, she didn't realise he was a doctor and she thought he was a healthcare assistant or a cleaner. Because if you live outside London, you know that it's very rare that you find other black doctors in predominantly white environments. So when she saw him, she thought maybe he was a cleaner or a healthcare assistant. And she was cordial, she would smile along the corridors when they bumped into each other. Okay. Now, one day he got the courage to approach her and ask her out for a drink. And she was like, yeah, why not? He's Nigerian, why not? And then she didn't find out that he was one of the other doctors in the other ward. Okay? Now she was even more intrigued because she was like, oh my God, he's a doctor, that's great. I rarely see other people, Then they started hanging out. And then about a few weeks in, they started having a fling. 3 months later, she found out that he was living with another woman. Yes, you heard that right. He was in a full relationship with another woman, and he's been with her, lived with her for 8 years. So when my cousin found out this information, she didn't know how to react. So she came and asked her mum, asked my mum, and other African aunties. We're Nigerian. So the only thing that all these African women were giving her advice on was, is this man married? Is he married in the court, in the mosque, in the church, in the temple? Has he made any legal attachments to this woman traditionally or anything like that? Is there a ring on his finger? She was like, no, there ain't none. They said, go for it. Pursue him. Don't stop. But she felt some kind of tinge of regret. And she asked him that, I don't think this is something that I can continue doing, knowing that afterwards you go home to another woman and you've been deceitful for the last 3 months. So I'm going to cut it loose and say bye-bye. Because she was so hurt, she then went on holiday for 2 months to Tanzania. And, he, in those 2 months, ended the relationship with this other woman. To rewind and give some more context, this other woman had lived with him when he came to the UK from Nigeria. And if you're a medic in another country, before you can practice in the UK, you have to do an exam called the PLAB. And the PLAB is a very hard exam. So all the while he was studying for the PLAB, he met this other woman who was a librarian. And together they moved in together to, save costs because London is very expensive. And they did so. His whole family loved this other woman. She cooked for them. They used to call her our wife. All this big titles without a ring. And it got to her head and she never actually realised we are not legally married. This relationship can end at any time. Hoping one day that he'll propose. He never proposed. After my cousin's holiday in Tanzania, this guy went over there, tried to pursue her, told her, please come back. I want to marry you. And he proposed and she accepted. Okay. I heard about this story when I was like 8 years old, when I was a flower girl at their wedding and someone was making a joke at the wedding reception. And I found out more as time went on and I got older. But as an adult, I now look back and realise the other woman's flaw. She stayed with this guy for 8 years, waiting for him to pass this exam, waiting for the timing to be right, waiting for everything to be okay, while continuing her life, and her clock was ticking. Her clock was ticking and she was so comfortable in the role of being this cohabiting woman living with this guy who's now a doctor, hoping that one day he's going to propose. And he never did. And all he was doing was bidding his time until he met his match, his equal.
This is why it's not wise to be wasting your youth with a man who doesn't even want to marry you. And even in seeing this, there is more to it, because some men will express their interest in marrying you or even go as far as being engaged to you, but with no real intention to ever make things official. It's their way of quote unquote taking you off the market. I know of a situation like that right now where this girl has been engaged for about 6 to 7 years. It has been to the point where she has even stopped wearing the ring because there hasn't been any further progress since the proposal. And this is one of the reasons why I don't believe in living with a man before marriage, nor do I believe in giving a boyfriend husband treatment. Ladies, the clock is ticking and time is passing by. A man doesn't need years to decide if he wants to spend the rest of his life with you. And in the case of the lady in the video, she was living with a doctor man for 8 years, splitting the bills, helped him with his study, and in the end, he broke things off with her to be with another woman who he has only met for a few short months. Ladies, love will turn you into a fool if you allow it. Sometimes you have to let go of the emotions and think rationally. If that man really wanted to marry you, he would have, because a simple courthouse wedding doesn't cost much. And I say this because a lot of men love using finances as an excuse as to why they won't tie the knot. But if a man can't even afford a simple wedding, then why is he even in a relationship? He should be using this time and effort to get his money up. And I'm 100% sure that the other lady regret wasting 8 years of her life. Ladies, do not, and I repeat, do not waste the best years of your life with a man who will just use you until he's ready to move on to who he classifies to be wife material. Okay, ladies, that's all for today's video. Until next time, stay feminine and sweet.